What is up, fellas and femoids? We hope you're listening to this on incognito mode because it is time to sun the taint and cup the balls. Today's episode is just for the boys, but if our past broadcasts have got you questioning anything about yourself, you are free to stick around. As always, this is Super Despair World, coming back raw with dick in hand, fully torqued, and ready to pod all over the place another week. I say this I say this every week, but today's show is a real doozy. This might just be the most psychic damage I've taken during our little pre-recording research session, which says something considering it was just 2 episodes ago when we were reading a fucking schizo post from Wizard Chan. Dave, I don't think the fellas are doing all right. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, so we're talking about men's health, but in a very distinct way. There are a few things that men have gotten into these days, which are a little sus, I would say. NoFap is among one of them, and that's a thread that we're going to start with, and it's going to lead us down a very slippery, lube-covered slope to a lot of really fun and interesting conclusions.
Yeah, we are going somewhere very dark, somewhere very meaty, somewhere very raw. When we talk, I think a lot of the discourse about men in general on the internet the past year or two it's been all about the podcasters, the dating, the Andrew Tate kind of stuff, but we're going back a little bit further. We're going somewhere a bit darker, a bit more fucked up, and we're talking about some things that are like a bit more concerned with just health and ways to improve, to achieve this idea of wellness in general. So I guess we're talking about men's unwellness today. Before we open, just want to do a little bit of upkeep on the show. Just a small announcement. If this is the most recent episode up at the moment, then it's not ready yet, but by next episode, we are going to be opening a Discord server for the show, so look forward to that.
Ooh, baby. Get in on the ground floor.
Yeah, we have some plans for the Discord in the future. It's going to be totally open. We're just going to have a little link to join that under next episode. Come in, get in on the ground floor, be one of the cool OGs. Be there before we blow up, hopefully. Just look forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you can talk to us for real this time.
Yeah, and I'll actually show you love and affection, unlike when I just pretend to do that in the comments.
Yeah, unlike my bitch ex-wife, am I right?
Yeah, women, am I right?
Hey.
Let's get them out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're going down a deep dark rabbit hole, as I said. There's a lot of different wellness movements, wellness coaches for men online. They have all these solutions, these lifestyle choices and products that you can get in on to supposedly make your life better. And as is a big theme with a lot of the people we talk about on the show, a lot of them will promise easy solutions. They will point out very real and correct problems, but their solutions are not so great. And one of them we want to start off with is this whole NoFap movement, which it's been big on Reddit for many years. You've probably heard the term NoFap before. But let's pack into it. It feels like this comes up around every November. Everybody does the meme, the NoFap November thing, where you don't look at porn, you don't rub one out for an entire month for some reason, I think. But some people take that further and they make it a whole lifestyle choice. So fuck, what's that about, Dave?
Yeah, so NoFap November is usually followed by Destroy Dick December. So we all seek balance in this life as human beings, but I actually just had the idea. Maybe this is a bad idea, but I'm on the NoFap Reddit right now.
I have it open too.
Yeah, and they have an introduction, which I have not read, and this is going to be something that we never do on the show, a live react to this. So if you will indulge me, Briar, I'm going to read this introduction, maybe just the first paragraph, because this is kind of long, but
yeah, let's crack open a cold one together.
Yeah, let's crack open a cold one and read about the introduction to NoFap.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, NoFap with the registered symbol on it. I don't think they actually. I don't think it's actually a registered trademark. So don't worry, guys. You're fine.
NoFap truly belongs to all of us.
Yes. It's a Creative Commons. Is a moderated, community-centered website that hosts challenges in which users, quote-unquote, Fapstronauts, abstain from pornography and masturbation for a period of time, often referred to as rebooting. This is NoFap's subreddit, hosted right here on Reddit.com. Yay! Whether your goal is casual participation in a monthly rebooting challenge as a test of self-control, or whether excessive pornography use has become a problem in your life and you want to quit for a longer period of time, you will find a supportive community and plenty of resources here. I don't think the second paragraph is necessary to talk to. It's probably some bullshit.
I think the necessary thing to bring up below that paragraph is that there are 1.1 million members of this subreddit, and 716 of them are online right now.
Yeah, that is wild. That is wild.
Yeah, this has been going on for a very long time. Reddit's fucking layout sucks nowadays, so I can't see how old the subreddit is. But I know this has basically been a thing for as long as Reddit has. If the term Fapstronaut did not give away that something here is a little weirdly aged.
Yeah. The icon over here is an astronaut too. I don't know if he's. Yeah, it's just a regular astronaut image.
I wonder if we're seeing a different thing, because on my end, their little subreddit icon looks like a rocket like blasting off, like a NASA logo or something. Which, funny imagery, I get it. I see what they did there.
Oh yeah, see, I have like the old layout on. This is my Reddit troll account when I used to think doing that was funny. So you can set it in your settings to have the old layout. If you really want to, but let's just like not use.
Yeah,
Reddit
no,
in
I'm on the horrible new Reddit, so we'll that's fine. We've got this covered from all angles.
Yes, yeah. This was intentional.
Absolutely. So where we want to begin? There are some fucking weird trends I've noticed on this subreddit, but one thing that stood out to me was just the moment I opened this subreddit for the first time to do our little like research for this episode, the very second post I saw was very telling and also very Reddit. It's this meme of, maybe you've seen it, of this meme image where like a giant fucking like wave, like a cloud, like a sandstorm is just encroaching over this little suburban town. And somebody has edited this cloud to look like the Doge meme, and it's labeled happiness. And the town it's encroaching on says "you on NoFap," and I'm like, oh god, okay, I see what we're in for here.
Well, this person has a badge. It's 40 days clean, 40 days without jerking the gherkin. Oh
jeez, folks, make sure if you own a gun, make sure to keep it locked up, because I'm already like we're less than 10 minutes into this episode, and I'm feeling some dark urges come over me. I'm not talking about masturbating.
I'm still looking at the Fapstronaut image. Do you think astronauts jack off on the ISS?
I mean, if I was on the ISS, I would definitely like think about it. Like, I would gotta know. But like, man, like,
somebody must have, right?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like, there's no gravity, so like it's gonna be harder to clean up. Do they have like a fucking NASA like space certified like fleshlight or something? How does that work?
Do you think that's why the USSR didn't get to the moon first? There's just some guy jacking off in space.
I feel like Soviet astronauts would be more disciplined. I feel like they would keep it in their pants. That's why the Soviets got most of the space race achievements first, because they were like more disciplined. They achieved their dreams because they didn't fap in their they weren't Fapstronauts.
Right. Well, that's why the Americans spent all this money making a pen that worked in space, and they just used a pencil.
Yeah,
that's actually not true.
Well, I heard that was debunked. I think it was like, yeah, they did have a pencil, but like it had some problem with the graphite. It was like magnetic or whatever. So
Yeah.
Was better, but yeah, whatever. Let's keep it in our pants, as they say in NoFap.
Yeah, right. Let's not get derailed here. We're talking about a serious topic.
So there's a couple trends here I noticed. I sorted by a lot of the top posts, and I will say I'm seeing a lot of posts that are like, oh boy, I'm 3 days clean, I'm 4 days clean, and I'm seeing a lot less posts like, oh, I'm 100, I'm 200 days clean, which tells me that a lot of people are not long for this lifestyle. It seems more aspirational than something people are actually achieving.
Well, aspirational. You could also say this is like a very self-loathing type of thing. I mean, these people, they're definitely participating in something where they really need to regulate their behavior, like, very seriously. And yeah, from what I looked at in here, they don't seem to be thriving, let's just say.
Yeah, I see a lot of things. So one thing I see a lot is like, man, a lot of the guys in here are like fucking 19, 20, 21 years old, like just going to college age. And I'm like, man, I feel bad for you. Like, I understand if you're a younger person, and like we're both in our 30s, so younger to us is like relative to that. But if you're a younger person, I get it. The world growing up fucking sucks. The world is complicated. I don't expect everybody to have their like sexuality completely like figured the fuck out by that age, but like, man, I cannot imagine going through like high school and college with this amount of like crazy guilt about something as like innocuous about just like jerking it a few times a week, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And from what I've seen on here, like, I think there's a bunch of people on here who are just like, they just have some sort of internalized guilt about jacking off. And I think there are let's say a non-zero number of people who have like a legitimate porn addiction. And this is actually like interfering with their day-to-day life.
Yeah, absolutely. So like the first big pillar of men's wellness culture online that we wanted to talk about today is this idea of guilt, because this is something I see a lot. And I have a few posts that I queued up because I was like, oh boy, this is really telling. And I'm gonna read the title of this one post I found, which kind of illustrates this very clearly. The title of this post says, "Fucking relapsed. As, quote, punishment, I'm now going to run 3 miles at the park," which is a troubling start.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it goes on to say, which is what I should have done in the first place. But I was weak. I peeked, then I edged, then I browsed, wasted 2 hours of my fucking life. Trigger, loneliness, feelings, sadness, shame, self-disappointment. Or next time, rush to the subreddit the moment I feel lonely and remind myself that the little bit of pleasure from fapping is not worth dealing with the aforementioned emotions. As ashamed as I am posting this so that I can prevent others from being in the boat. This shit sucks. If you're battling urges right now and thinking about peeking, edging, all caps in bold, don't do it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably... I mean, so there's a couple things here, and like, all right, see the telling thing, trigger, loneliness. Okay, we can all relate. Feeling sadness, shame, self-disappointment. That's something we can talk about. The one thing though is like 2 hours of my fucking life. Like, Yeah, I guess that's a common thread with this is, like 2 hours. What?
Yeah,
What do you-
I've thought long and hard, no pun intended, about how much I want to reveal about my sexual proclivities on this public podcast that we record. But here's the thing that I noticed in my own life, which is if I'm just trying to get off and it takes me longer than like 20 minutes, I start looking inwards and I'm like, am I feeling depressed? Like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Why is this not working out?
For sure. I don't know if I've ever gone 2 hours with a partner before. So, what are you doing for 2 hours solo?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can imagine for some people, maybe they're just like clicking through Pornhub and they're like, okay, just one more page or like just 5 more pages and then I'll find the right video.
They just need the ultimate video.
Yeah, and then you find yourself with like 18 tabs open and you're on like page 57 of Pornhub and you're still not done yet. And it's like, okay, I get it if you have like a what do they call it, like erectile dysfunction or something. But I don't think most young people deal with that. You know, that's an old fella kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think too many people here are dealing with ED. I think it's yeah, like that sounds to me like a porn addiction. Like they're more obsessed with the medium than the outcome. If you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I just look at the language that this person uses to describe their own habits and how they talk about this need to like punish themselves and this need to like remain pure to this like this ideal standard that they set forward without considering like, dude, that standard is completely arbitrary. You're alone in your room. Nobody's gonna fucking know, right?
Right. And I think that's a theme that we're gonna keep going back to in this episode as a whole is like obviously that's not really, I'm not going to say that's not a productive use of your time because that's not really the theme of this, but I mean obviously it's bothering this dude and they feel like they are wasting 2 hours in a day, especially if you have like a real job, is that's significant to spend like browsing the hub. But it's not even necessarily that. I think it's just like this. I think a lot of people are very they're very dissatisfied with their life and what's going on with it, and they try to look for these discrete little tidy categories of like, well, why is my life not what I want it to be? Why is it going wrong? It's not a myriad of factors. It's not some overarching theme. It's just because I jack off too much. That's why. And if I just squash this, then I'll be a fucking superhuman, right?
Yeah, and we're gonna see that theme played out even more once we get into the semen retention, guys. But I wanted to start on the NoFap because I feel like this is more about avoiding something that they feel guilty about, which is different from the thing we're gonna get into soon. I look at another post. This person writes that the title of this post is "I relapsed to cuck porn." And they go on to write, as a person who never had a girlfriend, I relapsed to cuck porn today. What the fuck is wrong with me? And can someone here please explain to me how is this bad and how is this going to affect me? They accidentally a couple words there. And it's like, man, there are a couple things. I feel like there's one thing about porn addiction. A lot of people just consume like copious amounts of porn for like whatever reason, like they just want a quick dopamine hit or something. Sure. But I also feel like while there's like, I'm not going to judge anybody for their fetishes. I also feel like there are degrees to how extreme porn can be, right? And I think it's telling of like an addictive personality thing going on when like, no, you can't get off to like the regular stuff anymore, and it has to be something like really extreme. Like, don't get me wrong, no hate to all the cucks in our audience, I guess. There's nothing wrong with that by itself, but also
we all use Twitter here. It's fine.
Yeah, we're all very online. We're all cucked by something. But Yeah, it's like a dark tendency, right? Like, if you're not even like, this person hasn't even had a girlfriend before, so like, it's not like, oh, they've actually experienced this thing in real life, and that they just know that that's what they're into, right? It's like a thing that they've been pulled into, and I don't know, maybe for some people it's this like, when you're already feeling ashamed of the porn you consume, you're like, well, fuck it, I guess I'm just a bad person and I have to go all in on something like darker and heavier, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean like that could be, like it's probably pretty complicated, the mechanisms that go on with all of this shit. I mean, you could think of it as a gateway drug of like, if you're just watching like the front page of Pornhub all the time, and in like that if you're doing that all day every day, that's gonna start to get kind of boring, and that's like, all right, let's check out some fucking weirder shit. And I mean, you could say that that's the analogous to, you know, smoking a ton of weed and then suddenly you have a crack pipe hanging out of your mouth on like a dirty.
I don't know if I would say weed is like a gateway drug.
But you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that actually happens. It's definitely like dare propaganda. But
I think back to this Twitter post I saw once where they were quoting this video from TikTok of this person that was like, just like completely they had to get completely fucking stoned. They were hitting up a bong in their car just to go out in town and do groceries for like 30 minutes or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This person looked like fucking like filthy. They looked completely out of it. And I remember the Twitter quote very clearly. It really sticks with me to this day, where it was like, we need a word like gooner to describe people who smoke too much weed. And I think there's a similar mindset going on here.
I fully agree, and that's as a former pothead is in you know, like it's like anything else.
I used to enjoy pot too. It's been many years, but you know, I had some fun in high school and
see that's the thing is like me and a lot of my contemporaries who I'm still friends with, who I used to like in, you know, high school, early college and shit, like smoke shit tons of weed. None of us smoke anymore. And why? We must have just like burnt ourselves the fuck out on that. And I mean, I guess that is an argument against the like gateway drug thing. Is like, we weren't like, weed's not doing it for us. Let's get some fucking crystal. That thankfully never happened. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is the same type of thing. But yeah, on that note, like, no, I fully agree with that. Is in I guess that ties into what we were saying too, in the sense of like, there's this kind of idea that like it's just like harmless or whatever, and it's just like, haha, it's smoking weed, that's cool. But like, yeah, man, like there is such a thing as like smoking way too much fucking weed.
Yeah, you know, I would say most of the, well, okay, Pornhub is a pretty sketchy company. I will say most of the porn people are probably watching out there is pretty. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I can even say if it's like vanilla and normal anymore, considering how popular fucking incest porn and that stepbrother, I'm stuck in the laundry thing.
No, it's a stepbrother. It's not a brother. It's a stepbrother. It's different.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I get it, but like, okay, most people aren't probably like getting off to the most hardcore pornography out there. A lot of porn is like just pretty innocuous, pretty vanilla, just like two white people going at it for like 10 minutes or something. Who gives a shit? But at the same time, I'm not gonna say like consuming a lot of content on Pornhub regularly, I'm not going to say that's like completely harmless, right? Because like, I feel like it is probably going to passively warp some of your perceptions about like, you know, what normal fucking sex between two people looks like.
Well, I mean, we can draw parallels between that and just like Hollywood in general, of just like when people are watching teen dramas, And I was talking about this with somebody recently. It's just like these are so removed from the actual lived experience of any normal human being on the planet. But I do think a lot of young people watch these shows and they're just like, well, why isn't my life like that? Why isn't everybody in my school like hot and have some drama and everybody has everything figured out with
you
like
mean your like childhood experience in high school wasn't like Riverdale? There was no like 3 murders every week in your town with like a cult and aliens and stuff?
Well, no, there was 3 murders every week, but it was just like gang related shit.
Oh, I see. There were some murders in my high school.
Yeah, it wasn't like vampires or anything.
My lawyers
it was just like some guy got shot. It's like some guy got shot for like dealing crack.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about like the whole like consumption of media, and we can talk endlessly about how like porn is kind of problematic, but that doesn't quite get to the heart of like the weird shame and guilt that a lot of these like NoFap guys feel. Which brings me to this next post that I read, where I don't have the top post saved, but somebody was asking the NoFap community what they thought about like, oh, okay, does it count as NoFap if I just go to like a sex worker, like an escort or something, instead of consuming pornography? And it's like, okay, that's a good question, because I guess, that is actually having sex with another person, even if you're like paying them rather than just like jerking off to Pornhub or whatever. But a lot of the responses were like overwhelmingly negative. Like, no, that you should avoid that too. One response that I saved here is this person goes on to say, masturbation gives you a level 5 out of 10 in depression, and escorts give you a level 8 to 9.6 out of 10. To be that close to companionship and then to see them turn it off after your time is up is truly the most depressing reality. That drive home is a lonely one. I'm like, damn, that hits kind of hard, dude. You got a whole fucking like metric scale here of depression levels, which tells me you thought about it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do guess I agree with that. Like, it probably is the next level of like, I don't even think it's a like necessarily porn addiction. Although that's like one facet of it. It's just like sex addiction stemming from loneliness and like despair in a sense. And obviously neither of us are like addiction or mental health specialists. But we play one on TV, so it's fine.
I mean, we're podcasters. You can trust us. They wouldn't just let us go on air and say any old thing, right?
True. Yeah, we're licensed in American Samoa. But yeah, like I don't know. Like on one end, like I don't like people are free to do whatever the fuck they want in my eyes, as long as you're not harming anybody. But and like I support sex workers. Fucking do it, do your thing. But like these dudes obviously have an unhealthy relationship with anything related to sex, and that's the thing too. Is like, okay, like there's they're getting sex workers and whatever, but also I think most of these people, if they had a partner, it would still be a thing. I think they just have I'm not going to say hang-ups, that's not the right word. They just have some complexes surrounding sex and sexuality in general.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably do, right? Like we could easily say like society, but like I mean, it is kind of a societal thing, right? At least like here in North America, like a lot of our audience is probably American. A lot of people undoubtedly grew up with a whole like Catholic guilt or like a Christian Baptist like kind of guilt over just like oh, your body is supposed to be this like pure sacred thing, and like, oh, there are all these wrong ways that you can use it and interact with other people, and it's like, oh, you've made like there's something like filthy and wrong with you on like a metaphysical level, and that really fucks up a lot of people. I don't have any experience with that, but like I get it
for sure. I mean, a lot of this is based on this like puritanical upbringing, just like a culture that's been pervasive for quite a long time, and we're still really not over that as a society and culture.
Yeah, a lot of the people on the NoFap subreddit, they talk about their problems in terms of, they use the word addiction a lot. And I don't doubt that some of these people very much do have like a legitimate addiction to like sex or pornography or something like that. But I wonder like, okay, how many of the people using the word addiction are just like some confused 19-year-old kid that like maybe addiction is the only word they have to frame this like behavior that they feel guilty about, right?
Yeah, exactly. And how much of this is actually problematic, and how much of this, which I have read some of the posts here, and it's like, yeah, that definitely, this definitely seems like it's becoming a problem in your life. And then for some of these people, it's like, yeah, I really think you just have this desire to be like a better than. To be a superhuman, and you think that like just rubbing one out to the hub is like something that is keeping you back from being like the level 1 human that you were destined to be.
Yeah, there's an arbitrary mental image you have in your head of this person who's like better than you, more successful than you, like a ghost of another potential version of yourself that you've been seeing, and it's like, oh, this could be you if you just got over this one bad habit. And a way I see this manifest a lot is that I see a lot of people in this community are like shaming each other over like, they try to go on streaks, right? Like, oh, I was clean, I was not masturbating for like 100-something days, but then I fucking relapsed, and they beat themselves up, where it's like, okay, you still went a very long time without doing the thing you were trying to avoid. Like, a lot of people don't have that willpower to do anything in general.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a thing is, if this was like some like music or drawing community, it was like, I didn't draw, I didn't complete the like 30 days of making a song, or 30, I didn't do one yesterday.
Those people were like, brutal,
they'd be like, yeah, for sure. But like, they'd be like, do the next one, don't give up now. But like, these people are like, if you have strayed from the light, but if you persevere, it's weird. There's like very strange, in connection to what we were talking about before, like very strange, like religious overtones to a lot of this shit, which I find very sinister.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're about to unpack that can of worms, which is religion and spirituality. But first, I want to read one more post from the NoFap subreddit.
Do it.
The title goes, "Relapsed hard after 123 days." And this person goes on to write a deleted account, by the way, from just 3 days ago.
Oh, baby.
At the time of recording. So like I said, this is an active subreddit. This is fresh meat that we're biting into here. Which might be a bit of foreshadowing for the rest of this episode. Mm-hmm. But as I said, okay, reading this post, this person says, "The urges around day 120 are the worst I have ever had. I'm disappointed in myself, but there's always something to learn from failure. I forgot how bad this addiction was. I didn't even want to continue doing it while I was doing it, but I did it anyway. In brackets, I do not watch porn, but I read erotic literature, in brackets. I have a friction burn now, and my skin peeled open. Embarrassing AF. Great reminder why I embarked on this journey. I don't want to think of this as trying again because it took me so many tries and it would be deflating. So I'll think of it as continuing what I started. I'm sure my brain can't undo all of those benefits in a second. So I am determined and excited for this new attempt. And that is most of the post, but there's a little edit addendum, and I don't think you're ready for it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this person ends on this note. Edit. Some weird account just sent me pictures of random inappropriate girls and told me to, quote, keep stroking. So if this is normal, I'm sorry for you all, and if it's not, then be warned. Never posting again, LOL.
The duality of man.
There's a fucking like Gooner like Splinter
Gooner
agent.
Jesus. Gooner Lucifer, more like.
There's a war going
Stray
on
from the light.
NoFap. Just like a fucking like the snake like slithering into the Garden of Eden, setting
100%.
these boys off the righteous
amazing, path. Amazing. Yo, if NoFap Lucifer, if you're listening to the pod right now, please email us, Briar at superdespairworld.com or Dave at superdespairworld.com.
Yes,
we would love to have you on.
Yes, please
you
get
fucking rule.
Please get in touch with us, but don't touch us, especially if you haven't washed your hands.
Yeah, for sure. But oh man,
that is just so fucking funny, dude.
Yeah, that's all. Number one. I mean, like, erotic literature, like, good for you. That's a cerebral fapper. I respect the fuck out of that. Number two, bro, just buy some fucking Astroglide, man. If you're busting your shit open, like, just
you have a friction burn on your dick, and okay, I read. Okay, I have a friction burn now, and my skin opened. What does that mean? What does it mean the skin opened?
It's probably just like a brush burn, I guess. But it's like, dude, just buy some lube.
Meat should not do that, okay? Your dick is a piece of meat, and you got to take care of it. You got to prepare it right.
It's yeah. I mean, yeah. Take care of all of your skin. That's no exception. Just come on.
I said that was the last post, but also there's one more. I just want to slip this in here because we missed it earlier. Just reset, just on a bit of a lighter note before we move on to the next thing. Another post I saw, this was near the top, like the front page of NoFap. This person says, I made this masterpiece a year ago. It's still motivating me. Thanks a lot, NoFap community. And it's just like a movie edit, like 3 minutes of, I want to say, Avengers Endgame, where it's like
it is. I actually did watch that because
I watched like the first minute of it because I don't give a shit about cape stuff, but it's like, okay, it's like the scene where all these like
funny.
monsters and shit are like flowing into the world, and the monsters are labeled like depression, anxiety, or whatever, and then Captain America with a broken shield, he looks around, and Black Panther walks out of this portal, and of course Black Panther has the word NoFap over his head. He's here to save the day.
It's so appropriate too because it's a disheveled white man who's just so ready to jerk off, and then a handsome black man comes out of the mist and he's just like, hey, I'm here, and he's just like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, he came here all the way from Wankanda.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Maybe we'll make that the title of this episode, Wankanda Forever.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna beat off, and then I remembered Avengers Endgame, and I just remembered. What was his name? Didn't he die? Rest in peace. The guy who is the Black Panther.
Yeah, that was, I want to say his name was Chadwick Boseman.
Yes,
I
Chadwick
believe.
Boseman. Yeah. Didn't he die of some like tragic disease like that?
Something like that.
Sucks.
Yeah, yeah. Shame about that.
Yeah.
But I won't talk at length about that because I don't know Marvel MCU stuff. I'm not down.
Me either. I will. Like, he was cool despite being in cape shit. So
yeah.
R.I.P.
I,
We love
I,
you.
I hesitate to stay on this note because I don't want to reveal how little we know about Black Panther on the first episode of Black History Month. I don't want to disappoint our audience.
Oh yeah, it's not because we don't like black media. It's because anything in the MCU fucking sucks.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right, let's get back on track here. Let's get the dick back in hand.
Yeah. Put it back.
So I want to say, moving on from NoFap, the thing about NoFap is a lot of these guys are very like ashamed. They're kind of down in the dumps. They feel bad about themselves, and they feel like, okay, if I can avoid masturbating, then my problems will go away. But it's more of like an avoidance thing for them. And I want to move on to a different but adjacent community, which is the semen retention community online, where for them, it's not just about avoiding like the feelings of shame and being down about porn, but they believe that there's like a metaphysical power to be had in like avoiding this one specific act. And this is where things start to get weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the second phase of this very bizarre thing. This very bizarre complex that people have about anything sexual is it goes from just like, hey, gooning for 7 hours is a problem in my life, which like, okay, fair. And then it turns into something that's like, oh well, it's not only like I'm not spending 7 hours gooning. It's that I'm actually like my chakras in my chi are being more centered by this fact. So
yeah, it gets dark. So rather than a multitude of smaller posts like I had with NoFap, there's a single post, and it's very big, that I found on a subreddit called r/pure retention. Which, let me just say, whenever you're trying to make your life better, whenever you're feeling down in the dumps and you wanna find some solutions to your problems, when you see the word purity being thrown around, run. Okay, those people do not have your best intentions at heart. This is a red flag. Be wary of anybody who talks about this idea of like purity, or like that you're unclean, or that you just have to be pure and good, and it's gonna get uncomfortable here.
Well, also if you're getting life advice from our Reddit community, maybe rethink a couple things as well.
Yeah, you should only get life advice from trustworthy sources like podcasters like us.
Like Super Despair World.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the post we're going to crack into. This post is called "The Mind-Boggling Power of Semen Retention Most Men Are Ignorant Of." And it's a repost from r/Escaping Prison Planet, which I think is like an InfoWars adjacent like subreddit.
Yeah. I mean, Prison Planet is the Alex Jones things, isn't it?
Repost from r/Escaping Prison Planet. The comments are full of bots and coomers, sadly, who didn't get the point.
What?
And this post is tagged Insight, which tells us something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna start reading. This is a lot to crack into here. So let's get right into it. This person writes, "Random urge, incognito tabs, cum sock, cheap dopamine, post nut guilt, repeat. This insidious cycle is fucking over generations of men, making them content with beer bellies, peasant wages, Netflix binges, and sexless marriages. Name a sadder tragedy than walking into your grave without realizing even 10% of your actual potential." And, well, let me just say, it is Black History Month, so chattel slavery, that sounds like a bigger tragedy to me.
Yes. And the thing is, I mean, with shit like that, there is always a grain of truth in there. I mean, on the surface. Yeah,
like we talk about this a lot. Like, some people just like go fucking mindless and just consume media, and like they go through their entire day. Like,
Netflix, endless Netflix binges, sexless marriages. What were the other ones on there? Scrolling Twitter. Certainly don't do that.
Playing League of Legends.
Don't start.
we might have had a little spat about that before recording.
I don't listen. I don't condone playing League of Legends, but it's let's just we'll talk about that
play
later.
League of Legends. Maybe somebody you know and care about. Maybe the co-host of your own podcast. It could.
I rarely play the game. I play it with friends, and we don't take it very seriously.
Listen, this is my comeback for you busting my balls about playing gacha games, which are just as bad, I think.
No, I'm not busting your balls about gacha games. I'm busting your balls about Genshin Impact.
I don't play Genshin Impact. I play Honkai Star Rail. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Never mind. That's fine.
It's okay. Whatever. All right. Let's get back on topic. Speaking of anime girls in video games, this person writes, but beating my meat to e-girls is normal. Almost everyone does it. Almost everyone is mediocre. Why do you think we call successful men the top 1% and not everyone? Boozing, smoking, jacking off, binge gaming, eating processed junk, any habit that keeps you mediocre. Our society has normalized it. Of them all, choking your chicken to porn is the worst evil. You'll soon see why by the end of this article.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, I think there's a lot of hot e-girls out there. Their content fucking sucks. I think they're hot. I don't beat my meat to them.
E-girls are some of the best girls, and so are
yeah.
E-boys.
I mean, there's a reason.
They're also very good at being e-girls.
yeah. I mean, it's a skill set, and whether you choose to be a part of that or not is up to you. Nobody's forcing you to do that. But also, well, boozing is cool. I don't eat a lot of junk food. And then what was it? Oh, smoking. Yeah, awesome. Smoking.
Boozing,
rules.
smoking, jacking off, binge gaming, eating
cool.
processed food.
Binge gaming. I've been playing a lot of chess lately. You ever play chess?
I played chess briefly in I had an after school club for it in high school.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Look, no, it wasn't like a formal chess club. It was one of the teachers was cool, and we played board games occasionally in their class, after school.
Chess is cool again.
I played college.
We should play chess.
I played chess against 3 other people in that club, and they all knew how to play, and I didn't. So I got very demotivated.
Yeah, it's not fun if your opponent knows how to play. The thing about chess, it's all about openings, and if you don't know basic chess theory, it's just not. It's not fun.
The thing is, my brain is too fucking ADHD rattled, so chess is just kind of slow to me. But I get the appeal because I'm really into fighting games, which are also kind of like chess, except it's crazy fast. So that's how I get into
everybody
it.
plays Blitz now, so it's kind of different.
Yeah, I guess so, but whatever. We'll get into it. So, I think
you don't want to talk about chess. You want to talk about jacking off instead. I thought this was a chess podcast.
We'll say that for a future episode. Maybe
all right, fine. I'm sorry. I'm derailing this episode so hard.
Maybe we'll do a gaming stream where we'll either play chess or Guilty Gear, or chess and Guilty Gear. One of those. That could be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, so this person talks about they're propping up what we talked about before, which is this mental image of somebody who's successful and has their shit together. Guys who don't do these things, they're the 1%. They're the brave entrepreneurs, the alpha guys who are at the top of the pack. And the secret to getting there is, I guess, not masturbating anymore somehow.
Yeah, right. And yeah, that's it. It all comes back to that of this. It's an insecurity thing, and it's how do I take control of my out of control life? It's just it all comes down to just self flagellation. It comes down to just stopping yourself from doing things that you like, and that is and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that is the end game of all of this shit. It's have you had any pleasure today? Did you eat something delicious? No, bad. That's not good. Stop doing that. You shouldn't eat food that tastes good. Did you have any pleasure? No, stop doing that. You need to become the top alpha supreme top of the line male, and the only way to do that is from just like stopping yourself from doing anything fun or enjoyable or pleasurable. And it's a little bit strange.
Yeah, so this post hasn't gone into anything spiritual yet, but when we see people frame things this way, it really ties into this, like, this is a very like Christian, like moralistic view of the world, right? Like,
yes.
Pleasure is bad. You
Guilt and
live
shame.
to serve.
Yep.
You have all these duties you have to fulfill, and you're a bad person if you fall short of that.
Exactly. It's guilt and shame based. That's all it comes down to. It's guilt and shame.
Yeah.
And if you're enjoying yourself too much, it means you're doing something wrong.
This person, the post continues. They say, the terrifying mental damage of masturbating to porn. The gods of evolution have wired us with one mission: attract the most fertile mate possible and pass on your genes through your offspring. Ejaculation is a signal that you fulfilled your sexual imperative, so your body rewards you with a hormone cocktail that kills ambition and masculine drive. But your brain can't tell if it's 2D pixels of Danny getting pounded on the sink or the living, breathing gym hottie you took home. Repeat the former day in and day out. Your brain assumes you're Genghis Khan reborn, spreading your seed and empire far and wide. And I'm like, okay, I don't think that's how like gooners think of their activity. But
well, I like the dichotomy that it's either it's either Danny from the gym or what was the other one?
No,
like
I think
a 2D
Danny,
pixel.
So I'm not going to read the entire post, but he references
Danny.
this.
Yeah,
he references this Danny 2 or 3 times. I think she's like a porn star, and the alternative was like a hottie from the gym.
Okay, it's either a hottie from the gym or like a porn like
an
porn
e-girl
star.
or
Yeah,
something.
that you're like, and it's like. I'm sure you've experienced one of those. I'm not going to say which one, but
Let's continue. He says,
Yeah.
Worse, bombarding yourself with such hypersexualized illusions will make you view women as pairs of asses and tits rather than living, breathing human beings. While NoFap calls the psychological damage of jacking off, semen retention unlocks the incredible power of sexual energy as well. Which we gotta unpack this a little bit. First of all, whenever I hear some dude talk about like, oh, the top 1% of guys, oh, you can be a millionaire, you can work hard, you can grind and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't want that person telling me to not view women as pairs of asses and tits. Okay?
Hilarious.
There's no way this guy is not crazy, like misogynistic or something.
That's
right?
exactly it. It's trying to frame it as like the Coomer is objectifying women, whereas they do that in every single axiom that they have. I mean, just like the thing that we talked about before, that like. Are you gonna nut to Danny the e-girl or the
It's one sentence before he says that.
Yes, exactly. Like that is the cognitive dissonance that these dudes have, and but they frame it in this like very bizarre way, which is like there is no cohesive mindset that these dudes actually have. It's really just like massive insecurity. And massive amounts of self-loathing. And the only way they can get through that is instead of like just becoming a normal fucking person and looking inwards, they in a sense externalize that into, well, all I have to do is like stop jacking off and like work out. And like this goes into like all of the shit that we're not really going to talk about tonight, the manosphere and the fucking pickup artists and all this fucking bullshit. It's really just externalizing all of this like insecurity and trauma that you've had throughout your entire life. And instead of just saying like, hey, like maybe I should like think about myself and the way that I do things. And it's just like, no, all I need to do is hit the gym, stop jerking off, learn how to talk to women and read these forum posts from a bunch of other like creepy misogynistic fucking weirdos and like get my fucking stacks up. Like that's really their mindset. And I don't really think any of these dudes are or ever will be successful in that endeavor, which is what I think at its core perpetuates this shit for so long, because like so many of these dudes just keep pushing this shit, and it eventually becomes a career for a lot of them, because what the fuck else do they have to do? They don't have a fucking girlfriend. They don't have any other friends. They're not doing anything else. They're just like weird dudes who don't jerk off, but they obsess over women the entire time.
I would be devastated to learn that Andrew Tate has ever had sex with a woman in his entire life.
Well, no, I think he has, but not one that he has not paid for.
Yeah, well, all right, we can go into that in a future episode about the Tatester. We can crack into that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we can we can peer behind those bars in a future episode.
Yeah. We'll do a retrospective once he's like incredibly not relevant. I don't want to boost this dude before he like is put in jail for life.
Oh yeah, I'd feel really guilty if Andrew Tate got the Super Despair World bump and was immediately relevant.
Yeah, I know. We got a lot of clout out there on the internet, so yeah, fair enough.
Either way, I have no notes on the previous thing you just got into, but there's still a bit of this post left. Dave, do you want to make any predictions about how the next sentence is going to go?
I don't. I don't. I just want to hear it in its entirety. I don't want to color it with I ranted enough, I think.
The post continues, in Ayurveda, semen is the ultimate essence of the Saphadhatu, or the 7 human essences. 40 meals make a drop of blood. 40 drops of blood make a drop of bone marrow. 40 drops of bone marrow make a drop of semen, the elixir of life. That's a quote from the Veda, which is from 1500 BC.
Yeah, they figured out all of biology at that point, so we don't need to look any further. This is what I meant earlier when I said we're gonna start getting into the weird spiritual vibes based stuff. The woo woo, if you will.
This is kind of where we move from the first pillar of men's unwellness stuff online, which is the guilt, where we move into the second pillar, which is mysticism. This post continues. Something even more mind-blowing. 1 millimeter of semen has a whopping 20 million sperms, each of which is capable of birthing a human baby. That's almost the population of Canada. The next time the thought of bent-over Danny Daniels beckons, try to visualize 20 million babies. Is it worth the trade for cheap momentary pleasure?
This dude definitely has like an unhealthy obsession with Danny Daniels, who I don't know who that is, but I'm
I don't either. That sounds like probably just like a very basic white girl.
Let's see.
Are we reacting live to Danny Daniels?
Yeah, I got safe search off, so it's like
okay, let's cue up the video. Let's react in real time. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not do that.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, yeah, it's very vanilla taste. I mean, no hate on her.
Take back control of your sexual energy. Semen is a reservoir of creation energy, of which birthing a baby is but one application. Preserving it will unlock this energy chamber to transmute it into a host of other channels, building an aesthetic physique, bootstrapping a 6-figure online business, banging out a high-quality post after blog post, writing a 100,000-word book, mastering the electric guitar. Like, Jesus, dude.
That's what it all comes down to, is all I need to do is not nut, and then I am going to be a millionaire. I'm going to realize all of my creative endeavors. I'm going to stop obsessing over this like just average looking porn star that I'm fucking obsessed with. It's just like, dude, this manifesto And that's the thing about this manifesto is a stand-in for this dude actually doing any amount of actual work in his life. Just do those things. You fucking nutting has nothing to do with this. That's what a lot of this woo-woo shit, and that's why it bothers me. If you wanna believe in like in all these, if you want to read Ayurvedic texts and just be obsessed with like really esoteric, like ancient, and just be like a weird Orientalist white dude, like I don't give a shit. Like whatever, do your thing. But they do this to kind of just push, like just put off doing anything actually productive, and just say like, I've been reading the texts of the ancients for 5 years now, and I finally understand all you have to do is center your chi by not jerking off and just putting your taint in the sun for 5 hours a day.
Yeah, well, we're about to pack into that, but over the course of reading this Reddit post and watching a video, which we're just about to talk about, just during the research for this episode, I was hit by this divine revelation where it just kind of clicked. And I think the big thing for me about like the mysticism behind all of this like men's health stuff, it's like the fundamental of it is it comes down to they see like semen and like masculinity and this energy. For them, it's like it's a fucking mana bar. They see themselves as like wizards in a video game, and if they stop spending their mana on stupid stuff, now they'll suddenly have the resources to spend it on something good. And that's not how it fucking works. That's not how anything works.
No. I was just thinking that like right before you said it. It's like this very like small brain thing of just like, yes, if I use this, like nutting takes energy units, but if I don't nut, I'll have many energy units. And it's just like, dude, your fucking balls are not a bank. You're not like spending money by nutting. Like, so that's the thing about the NoFap thing too, is like, I don't know if anybody out here knows this, but you know of the concept of like wet dreams, right? Like, it's kind of this thing of like, if you don't nut for a while, it's coming out no matter what, no matter how many chakras you've centered, no matter how many NoFap posts you've put on Reddit, like it needs to be purged. So like, and sure, that's a much different thing than just like gooning for like 7 hours a day. Yeah, it's not like you can't just like store up your sexual energy in the form of semen for like 3 years. It doesn't work like that. That's not how biology works. Like I'm sorry.
It's not like you have fucking spell slots and oh god, I used my 6th level spell slot on pornography. I was busting too many fat ropes to Danny Daniels. Now I can't get anything done until my next long rest.
God damn it, I can't use magic word kill. What's the thing? All right, power word kill. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. I'm sorry, D&D people. I'm not a real one.
No, it's okay. I only play good TTRPGs, so don't worry.
Hey, shit. All right. We're getting spicy on. Everybody's mad now.
we're going for everybody. And speaking of going for everybody, are you familiar with a guy called Will Blunderfield?
Oh, hell yeah. That guy fucking rules. He's so funny.
This is okay. So I learned about Will Blunderfield through, I'm not going to say the good folks at Channel 5, because if you know what went down, we're not going to defend Channel 5.
We do love Crip Mac and Saddam though. They need to get their own show.
Those guys are real ones. We're not going to go into Channel 5. If you want to watch their video about Will Blunderfield, I'm not going to stop you. It's already got millions of views. It's a
good video. I mean, just be aware of the problematic nature of.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing any real harm by giving them the little Super Despair World 100 subscriber boosters.
Yeah. True.
So Will Blunderfield is so Channel 5 did a video on him. He's this guy. He's like he was like a singer on Canadian Idol, like this talent show on TV like all these years ago, and he looked like completely fucking different. And a whole bunch of stuff went down, and now he's like this. He calls himself a men's wellness coach, living in Vancouver and teaching people sexual kung fu, which is this practice of directing energy outward from your balls to the rest of your body, and I guess to do all kinds of crazy energy stuff that'll make your life better. It is an insane watch. It is not every day that you meet somebody as wacky as our boy Will Blunderfield here.
Wait, Briar, you live in BC.
I do, and in fact, I actually used to live in Vancouver, and it haunts me knowing that I was ever in that close proximity.
You might have crossed paths before.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, dude. I was a bit of a shut-in when I lived in the city, for better or worse, and probably better in this case.
He probably was too. He's too busy jacking off like 70.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I think, like, if I crossed paths with him, I think I probably would have smelled it, right?
I was just about to make the same joke.
So, okay, Will Blunderfield, he does these classes where, like, he brings in a bunch of guys, and what they practice this thing. They call it, what do they call it?
Oh, I don't even know. But like it doesn't matter what they call it. It's just a bunch of guys like jerking off together.
They call it same-sex erotic bonding, which is this thing where Will Blunderfield and a couple other guys, they go out into the woods. At least I hope it's out in the woods. I hope they're not doing this in like fucking Stanley Park or some shit. They go out into the woods. They're butt-ass naked, and they do all these exercises where they like do squats while one of them is like carrying the other guy above his shoulder. They cuddle and hug each other. They make it a point to touch like heart to heart, dick to dick. And on the one hand, okay, his students talk a little bit in the Channel 5 video, and they're like, nah, it took me a lot to come out of my shell. It's not like a sexual thing. This is just like brotherly love, and we're just like bonding, just like in ancient times. And it's really bizarre, because later in that same video, Andrew from Channel 5 is talking to Will in his apartment, and Will is just like, yeah, no, dude, I totally feel attraction to other men. It's totally a sexual thing for me. And I'm like, oh, you were misleading a lot of people, my guy.
Exactly.
I don't think everyone's on the same page here.
Yeah, and also, it's not in the woods. Just as a minor correction, it's at the McDonald's Play Place. At 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. I'm just kidding. It is in the woods. But yeah, yeah, no, 100%. It's this dude is wrapping up his sexuality in a way that just really just draws in some sort of like lost, confused young men, which like. They're probably questioning their sexuality as well. I mean,
it's bizarre to me because, like, okay, look, like cards on the table. I'm a lesbian. I'm not attracted to men. But I look at the guys he's teaching in these videos, and like these are like young, good-looking.
Oh,
guys.
they're pretty
like,
hot. Yeah, they're pretty hot.
At a glance, I'm like, oh, yeah. You don't look like a weird, creepy gooner or something. Like if they didn't talk in the video, I would just assume oh, okay, this is just like a normal, good-looking college-age dude. Whatever, nothing weird going on.
Yeah, this is definitely the phenotype of like. Straight guy gets exploited .avi some shit like that. Like, yeah, this guy has a type. Let's just say Will Blunderfield has a fucking type.
He goes on to talk about things like, okay, what do we do here in these sexual kung fu classes? And he's talking about like, yeah, sometimes we'll just like cuddle and massage each other's cocks and like release our masculine energy while watching movies, which our Celtic ancestors did before going into battle thousands of years ago.
Yeah, the Celts definitely loved watching movies and just like sucking each other's nipples for sure. They really liked a lot of movies. I heard they were really big on the Godfather trilogy. They really liked 1 and 2. 3 I mean, you watch it, but
I feel like I have to wash my hands after we just throw like Martin Scorsese under the bus here in our episode about the weird like sexual kung fu.
I'm sorry,
guys.
Martin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I mean, like
Doing
it's such
my
a
man
it's
dirty
such a
in his
good
old age.
it's such a good movie that even the deviants like it.
It is a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they talk about, okay, this is what we brought up earlier when you brought up the word specifically, this like weird like Orientalist vibe where they channel all these like buzzwords and like misconceptions about history.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure in ancient times there were some different like perceptions about like gender and sexuality and all that kind of stuff than in the present day. I know there's a lot of that stuff about like race as well. Like all these people, all these like weird Roman bust avatar people on Twitter talk about like united Europe and quote unquote white people when like fucking Romans back then had no fucking concept of this stuff at all.
Yeah, that's the funniest, most ironic thing is like they're so obsessed with this point in history and also like the Roman Empire was like it's debatable, but like you could say that the Roman Empire spanned from like shit like what like 500 BC to like 1800 AD, depending on how,
it
how you really
depends
think
on
of it.
different things.
Yeah,
the
but
Roman Empire, and they kind
but
of
still,
became the
yeah,
Byzantines
it wasn't
and
some like
whatever.
monoculture. It's kind of like when you talk about like the Egypt is like, man, the fucking Egypt began when like it's not fathomable by our little like baby North American brains where we're like 300 years ago.
Yeah, the numbers are too
Civilization
big.
began.
Humans were not meant to count above like 12. Okay, that's
Absolutely.
just facts. That's just how it
True.
is.
True.
Okay,
Yeah,
which
that's
makes
why
me
we
a
all
little
have
nervous.
12 knuckles.
Yeah, and that does make me a little nervous because this is episode 11, so we'll see how things fall apart in like 2 weeks from now. But
yeah.
regardless, I brought this up because this is a thing you see in a lot of these online spaces, or like I guess in person classes out in the fucking woods on Will Blunderfield's Wild Ride, where these people tap into this like this sense of mysticism where it's all just vibes. It's not just like, oh, you're improving your health by like working out more or like taking better care of your hygiene. Like, no, there's like a mystical spiritual quality to this like tight feeling in your balls or whatever, and we have to get it out there. We have to do all this weird bonding stuff that we say like, oh, we did this in ancient times, but like, did we? Like, is Will Blunderfield like a historical scholar? I don't think so.
Yeah. So, and I think that ties into the thing that we're going to talk about next, which is another facet of pseudoscience. Which do you wanna introduce that?
I mean, I did still have a couple things about Will Blunderfield. But
okay. Go ahead.
We'll gradually transition into that.
All right.
So one of the things, like, okay, you listen to this guy talk, and it's like a nonstop stream of buzzwords. And I made a list. There's like, he talks about blood and chi and manhood and testosterone and energy and prana, and I'm like,
love that.
What the fuck, dude? This is all just vibes. It's all just vibes based. Like none of this is real. Okay, I'm sorry. Like if you have your own like spiritual beliefs or whatever, okay, like you do you, but like you gotta accept like, okay, somebody like this does not know what they're talking about. There's nothing real or historical about this. There's nothing like scientific about it. It's just a vibe. It's just letting your brain be mush because you feel like, yeah, this person seems confident. They seem like they know what they're doing. Maybe they can help me out with like my legitimate problems somehow.
Well, that's the thing. I'm tempted to call him a grifter, but I don't. I don't like I can't confidently say he's a grifter, because to be a grifter you have to know that you're lying and you're manipulating people. But I think this dude like actually believes his own bullshit is the problem.
he's
yeah.
he's definitely getting money out of this, right? Like he's charging for these classes.
Sure,
he does like
sure.
he does content on TikTok. He posts stuff to Facebook. There's a bit in the Channel 5 video where he's putting on a silly voice where like people gave him shit for being like anti-vax or whatever, because like of course all of these people are, you know.
Oh yeah.
But
it does not. Yeah.
I agree. I think he's definitely like a true believer, or in the sense that like, yeah, he does this because of like compounding mental illnesses, right?
Yeah. Like as somebody who's known a lot of like really strange like chi based fucking bullshit people who are like totally up their own ass about all of this nonsense that we're gonna talk about shortly. Yeah, it's really hard to say whether they are just like some sort of subset of like orthorexic people who are evangelizing this for some reason, or if they totally are eating McDonald's cheeseburgers the entire time and just doing normal shit. And then when they turn the camera on, it's just like, have you centered your chi today? Sign up for my workshop to learn how to do that. And maybe there's some sort of middle ground between that, but like I don't know. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, in the video, just out of nowhere, Will is talking about some other stuff, and he just very casually mentions, like, just very suddenly in the middle of the sentence that, like, oh yeah, he just had like a cocaine addiction at some point in the past, or like, oh, this like traumatic sexual thing happened to him earlier, and like, oh, dude, this explains so much.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about like, yeah, he used to get high off of cocaine and then he stopped, and then he started drinking his own piss because the piss gets him kind of high. And I'm like, oh, you didn't get over the problem, dude. Like, you still have this like addictive impulse. You just found another outlet for it, which I don't know if it's any better.
Well, that's the thing too, and you see a different version of that, of like, I used to be like a fucking junkie, and then I found God, and now I'm like the most annoying person you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm glad you're not doing heroin anymore, but like, can you not do heroin and not be like really annoying? Like, can you toe that line? That would be cool.
This is what really scares me, because we look back to the people we started talking about, like the NoFap people who feel very guilty, and they throw around this language of like addiction and like a medical problem to describe what they're going through. And I feel like a lot of them who don't make it, they end up like Will Blunderfield, where they don't actually deal with the underlying problem, which is this like addictive mentality. They just find another outlet for it. And a lot of the people providing outlets do not know what they're doing. They're clueless, like fucking mystical, like shaman people, like Will Blunderfield, and it's insane.
Really, all this shit tells me is just like, man, dude, everybody needs fucking therapy. Like, we all need to get therapy. I know I don't get therapy because number one, I'm fucking lazy, and number two, there's like a financial barrier for most people to do that. But like, hey man, in a perfect society, we would have like unlimited access to therapists. And just like, you know, you could pick the one that you vibe with.
We would also do a lot of things better and result in people not needing therapy as much in the first place, which is the ideal.
True, exactly. And yeah, I mean, and like, I don't even think like like there are some that are better than others, but I think really just like most people just need like a third party, just an uninterested, unaffiliated third party to just like fucking talk to about your goddamn week, man. Like that would be so useful. Like, that sounds so fucking cool. Like, I really do want to look into that at some point. And I like everybody I've talked to, other than just really, how do I say? Just really like combative people have just been like, yeah, it's fucking good. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this will be the last thing we touch on before we move into the pseudoscience element of it, because that is the other big outlet that a lot of people fall into. But there's one thing I wanted to bring up. It's kind of disconnected here, but I thought it's worth mentioning for everybody that watches the Will Blunderfield video. We talk about he talks about being attracted to men, and like obviously we love our gays here. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly great.
Yeah.
The way he goes about interacting with some of his students and all the sexual things they do, that's pretty problematic to say the least. But there's one thing that Will says in particular that I wrote down here. He says, gay panic has been burned into our psyche. And like, okay, that's true. He talks about like how when he was in high school, he got bullied a lot and people called him a faggot. And like, okay, I get it. I've been called faggot before. And I look at the problems that he's trying to address with these like weird sexual kung fu classes, and there's like a glimmer of like a real problem and a real solution here, right? Like if you're a guy raised in our society, like you're probably going to be weird about other guys to some extent, right? Like it's hard to open up to other men, to like be like vocal and clear about like sexual topics. Like there's always like something to prove, and like I think there is like a real value to guys being more open with each other and finding like healthy ways to like to lean and support on each other, right? Like that is a real problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like and that's the thing with a lot of this shit is like there's always a grain of truth with everything we've talked about on this episode and everything we will talk about in the future. There's always a grain of truth, but the problem is it gets realized in a really fucking weird way a lot of times.
The most dishonest people you'll ever meet don't tell outright lies. They always speak in like half truths to get your guard down.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
like
so
I definitely think, yeah, if there were a bunch of guys and they wanted to do like, I don't know, some like brotherhood fraternity thing to like, I don't know, just like have a good support network of friends you can lean on, maybe like emotionally and financially or something, like you can dress that up in like a lot of like weird like aesthetics, like a whole like brotherhood, like an order of knights or something, like
like for sure
you can be LARPy about it if you want. I don't really care. A lot of people are dorks with their friends. That's what friends are for. But like don't fall for like people like Will Blunderfield who got you out in the woods like tugging on your friends' cocks to grow them like 2 millimeters or something.
And it's especially sinister when like if you belong to some tribe of like weird hippies in whatever town you're in, you guys jerk each other off, like that's cool. But like if you're all paying one dude to like take your clothes off and just like run around in the forest and like I don't like whatever he makes you do, that then that's not a workshop, man. It's just a guy like objectifying you. That's fucking weird.
It really stands out to me. They use the word tribe here because like I understand people kind of yearn to have tribes again, right? Like there's something very like isolating and alienating about just like going through life nowadays. Like you have
absolutely.
like your coworkers and like other people at school, but like you're not necessarily like guaranteed to like be friends with or connect to anybody. Everybody's online more than ever. There are less and less like spaces to hang out in real life without spending
100%.
Money. So like I understand there's like a real need for this kind of thing, and like it's kind of on us to like make this stuff ourselves rather than like paying for this like weird former Canadian Idol guy to like sell you a class where you go out into the woods and do all this stuff. That's not the way. It's fucked up. It's weird.
No, 100%. And I have a few like very core axioms that I think like we need to work on to just be like a functioning society. And one of the main tenets of that is just like having actual communities. Because as somebody who's like been in an actual community, not like it's just like we made it and it just kind of happened. It's just like, it's so much different to have like a support network of people as opposed to just like everybody you interact with is just like some like discrete human that you decide to talk to, or like, what can I get from you today? It's just very strange. And like, we are all so absolutely fucking disconnected now. Not to go on like a phone bad boomer tangent, but
phones are bad sometimes.
Yes, I agree. As is the internet, as much as I love it. But yeah, I mean, we could dissect that another time, but that's a lot of the shit that we talk about is a symptom of some of these like very sinister issues that come up.
Yeah, and I brought up the tribal thing because when I look at what someone like Roll Blunderfield is doing, I'm like, okay, people kind of want to have a tribe. They want to have this like emotional connection with other people to get over their like personal sexual problems or whatever. But there's another thing that people look to when they look at tribal living that they kind of yearn for, which is this kind of like imaginary past, which this is our transition into the third pillar of men's wellness stuff on the internet, which is pseudoscience. There's a lot of it, and people have a lot of wacky ideas about things that humans supposedly used to do and eat all the time. Yeah. And maybe you can introduce this one because you are much more familiar with this aspect of it than I am.
Yeah. So here's the thing. My undergraduate degree is in anthropology, and it was mostly cultural, but I was required to have a background in like biological and in archaeology. And but also ironically, I did get pulled in by these ideas when I was like, in my early 20s and shit. Just because it is like, I do understand the appeal of this is just like, you've unlocked this like ancient knowledge, and like, oh, are you feeling shitty? Do you want to be like better than other people? Well, all you have to do is unlock this ancestral knowledge that we've all known forever. And it's that number one, like the agricultural revolution was like was a big mistake in the history of humanity. And like grains made us like weak and gave us like bad chins and teeth and jaw lines and all this type of shit. Yeah.
Like it intuitively makes some kind of sense, right? Mm-hmm. Because like you look at the average person nowadays, like they probably just have like a retail or office job or something, if they have a job at all.
Right.
They're probably like kind of out of shape and sedentary. And you think back, okay, like obviously to get here in the first place, like ancient cave people must have been out like chasing tigers and like killing mammoths and shit all day.
Yeah. And for sure, and there like, again, like we've been saying this entire episode, there is a grain of truth in that. Like probably early hominids were scavengers. They probably did scavenge meat. They probably dragged them up into trees. We really don't. In the main thread that I wanna nail down is like, we don't know. The top archaeologists and anthropologists in the world this is all speculation. We don't know shit. We do not know shit. We barely know like who was alive 200,000 years ago. We see fossil remains in certain places where the climate was good enough to preserve their bones. And we happen to dig there. Like there's so much we don't know about this shit. But the thing that is annoying is that when you go on all of these websites for all these people who are like, the paleo primal diet, you wanna live like Grog, your ancestor who was very swole and healthy, which he wasn't. Just all you have to do is live this lifestyle. And Grog didn't eat oatmeal. He didn't eat grains. He only ate meat and fish and fruits. and like all you have to do is do this, and then like all of the health problems you have, your fucking floppy dick, whatever, your depression, all the shit, it's all because because you ate a piece of bread yesterday. It's that simple.
Dave, are you telling me that the Liver King lied to us?
So from I don't know that much about the Liver King. From what I understand, the dude like got caught like not eating liver.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things. One, if you look at the Liver King one, this guy looks like one of those like Stretch Armstrong toys that you get as a kid. Then you like cut off one of the arms and like tie it to a garden hose and see how big it can get before it fucking pops. He's like the human version of that. And it's like you take one look at this guy and it's like, oh, my dude is not long for this world. Okay, this is like the end game of steroid use and like weird like gym like juicing stuff, and it's like it's nuts. But he sells this image of like, yes, I am the peak primordial man. This is what all people looked like back then, and like, no, people were not like grossly covered in like veins and like beet red and like constantly like
like, for sure
breathing for like stray gasps of air.
Yeah,
I think he had like a doctor that sentenced him. I don't want to say sentence, that sounds like a prison thing, but his doctor ordered him like, dude, you gotta lay low on the exercise thing. You gotta
lay off on the liver. Stop eating 7 livers.
Yeah, and like he didn't, and I don't know. It gets really bad, man. It's not good. Don't be like the Liver King.
The funny thing is, like, in like, just like I said, like, nobody knows what these people actually were like and lived like. Like, there's a lot of speculation, and it's a lot of stuff based on like primate studies and based on just like looking at like animals in the savannah, and like there is a lot of speculation, like, yeah, probably like if you were trying to survive you would eat organ meats because they're like richer in vitamins, but like how long did it take for our ancestors to figure that out? And it's just like it's so speculative is the problem. But like the problem with all these dudes is with the Liver King and all this primal diet paleo people is they're just like, facts. Our ancestors lived this way and they were healthy and you're not. Buy my ebook, get my primal protein powder, and then get my affiliate link to get like raw goat testicles from Israel, because like that's gonna make you healthy. And it's just like the saddest people in the world, just like spending all their money on like the most disgusting shit on the planet.
Yeah, like we might not ever know how like ancient humans lived in like great detail, but I'm gonna make a pretty confident bet that I know how they didn't live. And it needs to be said that you look at somebody like the Liver King and it's like, oh, this guy like markets himself as being like the image of like peak health in like ancient times or something, but like the stuff he consumes on a daily basis could truly only arrive at his doorstep through the fucking excesses of modernity,
100%,
which he like decries every fucking day. Like, oh, you hate the modern world, you hate fucking like GMO stuff and how like, oh, they're putting soy in all the food now, and yet like he needs like a fucking entire economy worth of like moving parts around the world to bring this like mass of dead animals in front of his plate to record his stupid videos.
Yes, and that's a problem. There's this conflation between people who say like the agricultural revolution was one of the worst things that ever happened to humanity. And they try to frame that as like it's because we started eating grains instead of like, you know, just eating like fucking lamb livers and fucking butter and
which
just,
is
like,
insane
frolicking.
To me, 'cause I look at the countries that eat more grains than anybody, which is like Southeast Asia, where everybody like lives off of rice and shit.
Yeah.
okay, it sounds a little problematic when I say it like that, but like generally their health is better than ours, right? You know, like it seems to me like grains are probably pretty good for you.
Yeah. Well, the point that I was getting at with that is, yes, living off of a subsistence diet of wheat or rice is like not good for you because it's not a complete food. Like, you won't starve to death, but you're going to be lacking in a lot of nutrients. But
I look at something like the food pyramid, which was taught to me when I was in school. And apparently that's pretty much bullshit now. But
complete bullshit.
There's a degree of truth. Like, you do need like a variety of foods. You're not going to get everything you need in one like fucking like massive like protein slop.
Right. But the problem with that conflation is they're saying like, oh, it was the grains that killed us, and it's like, what else happened during the agricultural revolution? Can you think about that? Can you think about that just a little bit? There were like massive hierarchies of like feudalism started not too long after that,
there are
where
huge
like
ancient migrations of people.
Right. So like, yeah, obviously the peasant farmers were living off of like just like bread, and like occasionally they got to like slaughter their oldest hen like once a month to have like some manner of like a complete protein, and like they might have gotten an egg if the fucking local vassal didn't come and like rape your daughter and steal it.
Yeah, there's a big difference between the meat of like a wild tiger that you hunted because like that's the biggest thing roaming around versus like these cattle that you've been breeding together for like generations to make it more edible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. But like that's a problem with all of these narratives is there's a complete ahistoricism to all of it, and it's very selective. And like I said, even like all of the people that I've studied under who are way fucking smarter than me have said, like, at the end of the day, we don't know. However, you go on any of these fucking bullshit paleo primal fucking men's lifestyle, eat liver and shove it up your asshole blogs, they're just like, this is how a real man used to eat, and if you eat soy, you're gonna become gay overnight. That's why people are gay, because they ate tofu once.
Yeah, and I before we move on to the whole soy thing, because that's a little more of a modern bent than this primal stuff. This ties back into the observation I made earlier when we were talking about like people talk about this stuff like testosterone and blood and energy, like, oh, this is just like a fucking wizard's mana bar or something. And like that applies to a lot of these like fucking health diet grifters as well. Like you look at the way people like the Liver King talk about like raw meat and like bull testicles and stuff, and it's like,
right,
oh yeah, he's just saying like, yeah, you will refill your mana bar if you eat this slop that I'm selling.
Right.
Get my fucking discount code, you know. And it all ties back into each other, and it's like, no, that's not how food and nutrition works. Okay, nutrition is incredibly fucking complicated. Okay, there's a reason people have to like go to college and study for this shit. And even they still don't know how this works. Like, yeah, like there's so much fucking misinformation and like stuff that like even professionals are not like wise to or like know when it comes to about like how to eat right and like what foods are good and not good for you. And like it sucks because like a lot of people fall into those gaps, and like you have people like my mom who will basically fall for anything if you say, oh, people don't want you to know this, or like, oh, I'm giving you the truth that people are hiding from you.
Exactly. And that's a big thing of it. And like that's a lot of the allure, is it's not like, hey, here's a food that's really healthy for you. Because there's a lot of that information. Like, hey, eat some blueberries. They're good for you. Everybody knows.
I love blueberries, dude.
Blueberries fucking rule.
I would kill for some.
Blueberries fucking rule. But like all of that shit you see in that sphere is like, they told you this wasn't good for you, but like nobody else knows. And it's like, buy like some beef brains from the from the black market, and it's gonna make you really, really strong. And it's like, and like, you're probably fine if you eat beef brain. Like, it's gotta taste like shit. Like, I've had a lot of offal before. I don't even know if that's how you say the word. Like,
I think it's pronounced awful, which is very funny to me.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I've
make it very appetizing, but
I've never eaten brains, as far as I know.
Yeah, I think I'm good on brains. I think
But
I'll
like,
pass on that.
yeah, I mean, like, just read an article about Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease or or whatever it's called. Any prion disease, and it's just like, dude, that could give me like a 7-inch bigger dick, and I'd probably still not roll the dice on it. Like, I'm sorry.
I think I learned everything I need to know about the dangers of eating brains from playing fucking Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, I've seen what the mind flayers do. I don't need to make that my diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched like the worst zombie movie once, and I was like,
yeah, and I will say that it feels like that is kind of where you see this, like, where the unholy marriage between the mysticism stuff and the pseudoscience stuff comes into play, because you have all these people like promising you this like forbidden secret knowledge. Like, that's the heart of like all of every conspiracy theorist you've ever met, right? They're convinced that they don't just know something that's like a bit out of the way or like unheard of. They think like, oh, I've tapped into this secret thing that people want to keep under wraps. I'm fighting against some like oppressive system, and I'm like this like arbiter of like good righteous knowledge. And it's fucked up, because it's like all this stuff is like, it's predatory, it's sick, it ruins people's lives, dude. It's
like 100%, and I've seen it before, and I'm not gonna get into that, but I've actually seen it before. And like, to kind of like tie everything together, our first topic, where we talked about like the NoFap people, this is the vulnerable people who are just like, if you are a fucking piece of shit, this is your crowd. These are the people, the lost, the desperate, the people who just want to make a better life for themselves. And like,
these are the easy pickings.
They're totally the easy pickings, and it's easy to hate on these people and just be like, what a fucking dork. But like, no, like, at the end of the day, they're just like really desperate people, and you know, they want to live a better life, and like, I can totally relate to that.
It's
but
like,
the problem,
how can I convince somebody that the only community that they've ever found is like fucked up and like preying on their insecurities and like stealing money from them? They're not inclined to believe me, because that's all they fucking have. Exactly.
But then the spiritual and the like and the like primal paleo fucking sun your balls, semen retention, cleanse your chakras people, they're fucking predators that find these people. It's a cult at the end of the day. It's the same thing. It's the same
people
thing.
Who fall for it, even the victims, they kind of become predatory themselves, because they think, it did something for me, I gotta rope other people into it as well.
Well, that's the thing. It's like a cult. There's like cultists become cult like recruiters at the end of the day, right?
I look at somebody like Will Blunderfield, and I'm like, okay, I think this guy is like a predator in multiple senses of the words. But even then, I can acknowledge, some fucked up stuff has happened to that guy throughout his life, and like, I can sympathize with that. But like, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, my sympathy ends, like, I draw the line where you start taking all the pain and the hurt that you felt, and you start like spreading it out to other people and making their lives worse and preying on their insecurities that you went through.
Yeah.
Okay, like, fuck you then.
Yep. And it's two sides of the same coin with the Blunderfields and the Liver Kings. It's just like, how do how do I evangelize to this like very broken group? And I'm not even saying that these people like consciously do that. Like I do think like Will Blunderfield is like unwell. But
I think he is both a grifter and a true believer at the same time. I don't think those are mutually exclusive.
No, I agree with you. And then there's some people like the Liver King. I don't know. I need to look into.
Do we want to talk
that.
about Jordan Peterson and his meat diet? Where does he fall on the true believer versus mentally ill scale?
So I would put Jordan Peterson on his beef diet more towards the victim than the grifter, honestly. I don't think that was something that he like came up with in a sense and said like, how can I evangelize people to that? I think like he got on that just because the dude's like clearly like fucking mentally ill and like completely out of control.
Yeah. So like not to turn this into a whole like last minute Jordan Peterson biopic or something, but he started out as a pretty normal like college professor, like psychology dude. Like he was known in his field. And then he kind of like he only became famous like a household name because he had some like bullshit outrage against a bill C-16 here in Canada where it's like
that he completely misrepresented people. By the way.
Yeah, to this day, nobody has been fucking arrested on that.
Just in case you didn't know, and like shame on me, I learned about him from like that shit, and I was like, dude, that's crazy. And then like I did like 6 seconds of research, and it was like, no, he's full of shit, and I was like, oh. Cool.
Yeah,
but there's still people like 6 years later who were like, yeah, he's just uncovering what the Canadian government, because they're ready to just put you in jail for not using pronouns. It's like, no.
Canada sucks, dude. No. Like I hate Trudeau with my whole being, but I can't talk about that in public where I live because it's like I'll bring up one good point and then people will be like, yeah, I also don't like how he brought all those like sand N words into the country and he's like the kid of like Fidel Castro or something. I'm like, whoa, dude.
Well, you have to relate to him and be like, yo, that blackface Halloween costume was like pretty dope though, right?
Which one?
I don't know. Like,
okay.
What was it? What was the one? What was the one that was? Was it like Aladdin or something?
It was like that's the one. I think that was the big one that came into to mind. He was like dressed up as like either Aladdin or like the very dark character from Dragon Ball Z. I shouldn't talk about this. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about.
Didn't the Clintons like do blackface one year? Or am I completely imagining? I mean, they're on the same.
You could tell me the Clintons got up to any kind of like fucked up like Bohemian Grove shit. I'd be like, yeah, probably. I fully believe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Like these are all people who are like crying crocodile tears about like indigenous rights, and then and then they sign a bill into law like you're not allowed to complain about anything.
Yeah, to make a long story short, because it's on me. I brought up Peterson. I think he's a grifter, and that like he was just like a lame college professor, and he made a lot of money being like a conservative outrage guy. But I also think he's like a victim and both a crazy like true believer person, because he had like a fucking dark spiral with some really hard drugs that he tried to get off of, and he nearly fucking died in Russia or some shit, like trying to get off of that stuff. Like he has been broken in every sense that a person can be broken since then.
I mean, so, fuck that dude.
He's like if the Joker was not fun, you know?
Exactly. Like, fuck that dude. He's subhuman, all that shit. But like his struggle with like addiction was like not really the thing to make fun of him for. Like Like with somebody like him, I think he's such a fucking piece of shit. Like anything's fair game, but like it's just like, dude, there's so much ammo to ridicule this guy with, and you're gonna talk about like his drug addiction. Come on.
Here's the thing. I don't like to shame people over drug addiction because I think it's like a medical problem. I don't think it's necessarily like a fucking moral failing.
Right.
But I think it's valid to bring it up in his case because like his entire personal brand is like, you should clean up your own fucking room before you say women should have rights.
Yeah.
And then you look at his own fucking room and it looks like a hoarder house, right? Okay?
Agree.
Like this person is built on lies. Like nothing he says is true. And of course he nearly killed himself on this like weird fucking meat diet, and he went into like a coma because he tried to drink apple juice or something to level it out.
I do vaguely remember that. Like, I mean, you know, if something bad happened to him, I would not cry about it.
Yeah,
but,
God forbid.
Yeah,
that would just ruin our day. We would not turn it into content.
But yeah, like I don't know. It's kind of it's a microcosm of a very, very much larger thing, which I guess is the overarching narrative of this entire episode is like, so like what is all of this shit all about? I guess is the big looming question here.
What do we do to fix men? Like, how did we get here, dude? This is so bad.
See, I don't even think that's the right question. It's not even men in particular. It's everybody is lost and miserable, and this is one discrete way that a certain subset of people try to cope with and reconcile the state and the world that they live in. And like for the most part, like they're fine, dude. Like you jerk off 4 times a day. It's not that big of a deal, man. Like maybe like get a hobby or something. I mean, like if you're an actual gooner, like if you're really just like going hard in the paint for like 7 hours a day, like that's a real time sink. Like, but
yeah, and we'll definitely unpack gooners in the future because it is like I think it's on the same spectrum as a lot of the people we talked about today, but like in the opposite direction, more in the excess rather than the abstinence side of it.
But the thing is, I think most people really they're really under the same umbrella category of just like, if you're not really like happy or satisfied in your life, you're gonna find some way to externalize that. And for these NoFappers, it's jacking off 7 times a day. For people who like smoking weed, they're smoking 7 blunts to the face the entire day. For people who like alcohol, they're crushing a bottle of fucking of bourbon a day. For people who like gaming, they're playing CS:GO for 7 hours straight, and it's just
and I like attention and being told my worldview is correct and that I'm cool and amazing. So that's why I have a podcast that I record every week.
I knew you were going.
I had that queued up.
No, but like honestly, like I actually I thought you were gonna talk about like being an e-girl, and it's like that's a little bit more high effort. But
I mean, I was gonna say like, I don't know, fuck, dude. Like maybe all these guys should just become women. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe that would just make everything go away. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? What if you just
sprinkling some seeds into the dirt, just like casting it out into the wind, just putting it out there. I'm just a podcaster. What do I know? Just
someday,
think about it.
someday we're gonna find out how many people you transed. Through the subliminal messaging of the podcast.
If you're listening to this podcast, make sure the headphones are on nice and tight. Make sure you don't get any like external vibrations in there. Make sure you listen to what I'm saying very clearly. Just sprinkling some ideas.
Yeah,
out into the wind.
when you hear the weird like the weird tones that will rewire your brain to be feminized. Just leave the headphones on.
Yeah, pay no mind to the 35 continuous seconds of silence at the end of the episode. It's not silence. Make sure you listen to it nice and close. Volume up.
Yeah. Stay tuned for a very important announcement.
Yeah, I guess we're wrapping up. We were going to talk a little bit about like all the superstitions around soy, like that came out of bodybuilding forums and stuff, but I feel like we'd kind of be repeating ourselves. Maybe we can save that for a future deep dive.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2 hours deep, and I think there's still much more to say. I think this episode deserves like a revisit. It would be really cool if we had like an X, like an X manosphere, X NoFapper, X something like that, or a current one. Like I don't give a shit.
Ex-wife of one of these guys.
And also, this is a no judgment zone. Is like I don't know if I mentioned this, but like when we talk about like the primal fucking diet and all this type of shit, I used to like totally be into that. I was like, oh yeah, like that's oh yeah, you're right. Like that does make sense. It's complete bullshit now, but
I was always disillusioned with like the soy conspiracies when I realized that eating regularly at Burger King only made me grow an ass and not tits.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like, if this were true, the people you would see at like Burger King would be like just jacked alpha males, and really it's it's like the most stereotypically soy people you will ever see.
Man, could you imagine if like we just lived in that world that they spread conspiracies about, where like, oh, if you eat too much at McDonald's, you just turn into like some kind of like Twinkie looking like elf androgynous like boy girl something, you know?
Oh no!
Can you imagine?
Ah, shit! What
would you do?
I'd be like, oh fuck, damn! I'm eating another McDonald's Happy Meal.
I'm trying to have a balanced diet, but I can't hear the thing over the clap of my ass cheeks.
That's why they developed the McDonald's play place, is when you're climbing through those tubes or whatever. They're they're collecting data on how hard your ass cheeks clap.
Everybody, it's Moist Critical here. Just stared into this spiral for like 30 seconds. I feel like really weird about some stuff now.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Moist Critical. I just fought a 13-year-old in the junction at the McDonald's play place tubes. Yeah, pretty much pogged on this dude. I beat him into a pulp, and his mom called the cops on me, but I think I'm gonna bounce now. Anyways, big poopy buttholes, and you've been listening to Super Despair World podcast.
I just want to get a shit ass meal at Burger King. I just wanted to get my little Burger King crown. They give me these fucking like cat ears instead. What the fuck am I supposed to do with these? Also, why is my chest getting bigger?
Yeah, this Karen's yelling at me because I punched her 12-year-old son in the face 13 times, and he's bleeding profusely out of his nose. That's like the one time I popped off in Overwatch 2, which, you know, if you want a discount code for Raid Shadow Legends, it's in the bio. And this podcast is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
This podcast is brought to you by all my pain and misery and the dark things that I feel when I read too many fucking Reddit threads before we start recording.
Yeah. If you don't jerk off for 30 weeks, you can get a promo code for Raid Shadow Legends. And well, that'll guarantee that you never get laid again in your life because you play Raid Shadow Legends. So, is that even the name of the game?
Yeah, that's why it's called. I
Right.
think.
Well,
Man,
I guess
look,
I guess we blew our chances at a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship in the future.
Oh, they're not gonna go back and watch this.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know, dude. I think it's time to wrap up, but like it feels like we're kind of listless here. What's our solution here? Like we gotta turn things around a little bit.
Stop jacking off.
Yeah, maybe just consume the right meat slop sold by like weird bright red blow up guys on the internet.
Yeah,
I don't know, dude.
just start taking HRT.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. Just throwing those ideas.
See, now I'm flipping the script with Briar. Now I'll tell you to do that.
Yeah, it's got me feeling some kind of way.
Real talk. If jacking off is a problem in your life, think more broadly than that. Like, why are you doing that all the time? Maybe get a hobby. Maybe make some friends. I know it's not that. I know that's an easy solution.
Maybe do it harder and listen to our show while you're doing it.
Hey, if you want a friend and like this is an open invitation, but like the time is limited. If you're going back and listening to this episode like 2 years later, offers off the table. But like if you're fresh, you can email me at dave@superdespairworld.com and I will coach you through not being a coomer or being the right kind of coomer, I guess I could say.
Or you could email me and I'll reply back. I'll plant a dark little thought in your head to keep stroking.
Yes. Yeah, that's it's like the cartoon with like the angel and the devil on your shoulder, and I'm like, "Hey, maybe go for a run today." And Briar's like, "Look at this futa."
I think we have our episode art. I'm gonna draw that now.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah, I like
that. All right, that's all we got for today, folks. I'm sure we'll revisit this in the future. This is like a sample platter of like testicles, just for your brain to think about. To digest.
I think this was a pretty good episode. I think. Yeah, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe we'll look back at this in 5 years after we have our falling out.
After the incident.
And then I'm like, yeah, that was our worst episode. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's all down here from here, folks. Things weren't meant to last. Numbers weren't meant to go above 12. I don't know. That's it. We are trailing off. Okay. Good night, folks. That's all we got.
Fucking A. Good fight. Good night.